streaming this anywhere?
Yeah, yes, YouTube and Instagram. All right.
You're super quiet, by the way. I don't know if you can turn your mic settings up or get a little closer to the mic.
Yeah, sorry, give me 1 second.
Oh, that sounds really good.
Oh, that's better?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right.
I don't hear it much better. Maybe.
Oh, really? You don't hear it much better? Okay. This is great broadcasting here. We got.
Well, we're doing it before.
Oh, we're broadcasting now.
Yeah, I just hit live like 10 seconds ago. It's all good. These folks can wait. When a good product's coming, we can get up. Ooh, that sounds. Oh, I lost you.
I'm fucking with the settings. Say
okay.
Again, Liz.
Hello. You said say something or don't say something.
That sounds a little bit better.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
Right, let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a horse.
Oh, shit, I know we were live, TJ. This was I did not realize we were live.
That's what
I'm sorry, people. Let's just start this again.
No,
I was
said
like, oh, well, good to get this out of the way before we're live.
No, it's all right. Hey, it's been a rough week, folks. It has been a rough one. Welcome to another episode, a post-mortem episode of The Left Wing. I'm joined, TJ Whitehead, joined as always by John Cooper of Counterpoint Politics, and joined by friend of the show, All About Liz. How are you doing today, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing okay. How are you guys doing?
Been better, right, John? But overall, I'm doing all right.
I would say, like, today's the first day I have felt any semblance of normalness. And, the past 2 days, I've just been in a... Have you ever seen the show Monk, where there's an episode where he goes through the 5 stages of grief?
Nah.
Constant cycle.
Oh, no.
Like every 10 minutes, he switches to another thing. And that is how I have felt. For 48 hours of just my mind can't stop thinking about the next terrible thing that is coming to it. But yeah, it's been rough. I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here that
yeah. I think I felt that way the night and the morning afterward, but I've been in pretty much the same mode ever since, and I'll get to what that mode is pretty soon. I want to draw everyone's attention before we get started to Liz and her Christmas tree. And I'm curious, do you usually put up the Christmas tree the first week of November? Is that a normal thing for you, or?
Yeah, I'm usually a day after Halloween.
Okay.
So this is kind of late for me. But let me show you what else I got going on. I got
oh, look at that! I love that.
Yeah, and then that over the. Sorry, I'm watching Parks and Recreation. So back there. And then I've got some lights over that doorway. I don't know. It's been helpful to do stuff.
Yeah.
I got a blister on my thumb because I raked the lawn. The lawn? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like...
I in my head I said rug, but lawn is the right word.
I would want to hear the rug raking story. That would be fascinating. I'd like to see what was going on there. John, when do you usually put up your Christmas tree? Or if you put one up?
We're usually at some point in November.
Yeah.
So my family, we do it after the big Christmas tree at my parents' house. We do it after probably Thanksgiving because everyone's home. We put it up together. In my place, we usually put it up at some point in November. As you can tell from the moving box in the back, I'm in the middle of a move, so I don't know when it's going up this year.
Yeah. I think that this is the decent time to put up a Christmas tree. There's not a whole, because a lot of people do wait till around Thanksgiving time, but there's so much going on that I can see why that would be a tough time to squeeze it in there. My family was notorious with being late for putting up Christmas trees. My entire life, we always put up Christmas trees. I feel like second week of December is when we did it. One year, I swear to God, Christmas Eve, we put up our Christmas tree the day before Christmas. And I've kept that tradition strong that my trees go up, mid-December, late December if necessary. But I do love decorating the tree. And I do love it out there. And I like putting the lights outside. I always have this unsolicited competition. Look at my neighbor, those shitty Christmas lights. Mine look a lot better. I don't win anything for it, but I kind of like how it's going there. So, one more thing before we move off this to actual real topics. So it is the first week of November, and I know that any day now, I'm going to start seeing posts of people complaining about Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas is You. Those folks can go to hell. Okay. All I Want for Christmas is You is a banger. It is a great fucking song. There's a reason it's played every single holiday season. So shut the fuck up. If you want to complain about that song, go somewhere else. Like, this is the United States of America. We love beer. We love sports. We love Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You. I will hear no dissenting opinions on this. I'm making a unilateral decision for that. This is our song. But
TJ, I love, like, we have a lot of similar political takes, but what I love about us is oftentimes when one of us gets up on their stump about a non-political thing, we are still in lockstep agreement. All I Want for Christmas Is You, banger Christmas song,
great.
Gets the party going. Like, have no complaints about it. Like,
It's a good song, and usually I find that the people who don't like the song are also the people who wait to celebrate until way closer to Christmas. And it's like, there's so few joys in life. I'm going to put up my tree. I'm going to listen to the Mariah Carey. I'm going to feel holly and jolly.
I don't know if people have noticed, but there's not a ton of reason to be happy right now. So let people fucking enjoy themselves is what I always say.
I agree. Christmas I fucking love Christmas music. I love it. It's so good. In fact, like every year I try to do my top 10 favorite Christmas songs and everything. It's hard to do. It's legitimately difficult because I feel like there's 30 Christmas songs that I love. And then there's like 50 that I just kind of like. It's hard to, I don't know, like any popular Christmas song is like, oh, that song sucks. Get it the hell out of here. But I will listen to Christmas songs weeks on end. I never get tired of it. I would do it all year long, but they just doesn't fit the mood. But I love it. I'm all in. Oh, we got some comments. Can
we just do a bit where we talk for 2 hours about Christmas and don't mention the election results? Like that, just act as if nothing happened this week.
It would be
bring the people really what they want to hear.
I dare them to not enjoy our takes on Christmas. We could talk about fruit cake, yes or no, like what you do during the Christmas holiday. Yeah, how you wrap the presents. Do you have a trash bag to collect the wrapping paper while you're unwrapping it, or do you wait till afterward? There's just real trees versus fake trees. Which is your favorite, like claymation Christmas special? There's a dozen different things we could fill a whole show with. And go ahead, Liz.
I have a controversial take, but
let's go.
I hate claymation. It makes me uncomfortable.
I want to thank Liz for joining the show today. We're going to be moving on.
I thought you were about to say we're going to be kicking her off.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Oh, okay. That's the take that got me.
No, really? So you don't like the Santa Claus is coming to town or the Rudolph claymation one? John, you got to break the tie here. Well, how do you feel about the claymation?
I'm a stop motion fan, but claymation is not my favorite version of it.
Well, guess I'll be leaving the show then. Yeah, I love that shit. I love it. All right. Well, Liz, we got to bring you back on for our Christmas special. Like a month from now, we're going to do a Christmas special for this. But okay.
I'll be ready.
All right, folks. I don't know if you heard, but there was an election on Tuesday that did not go as I expected at all. So I did feel confident that Harris is going to win. I thought, it might be close. I thought that she could do really well. I never could have dreamed that she would lose the popular vote. I would have bet my fucking house that she got the popular vote. Not only it looks like she's going to lose the popular vote by quite a bit, she lost every swing state. Every goddamn one of them. It was a fucking massacre. And I'll go to John first. What was your reaction upon realizing this? Probably late into Tuesday night.
It was really weird because we were doing the live stream, and when we ended at
10:35, 10:40,
it was like, okay, we feel like this is going to take into the morning, and then not 30 minutes after that, it was just very quickly downhill.
Yep.
And it was just a clusterfuck. I couldn't believe it, how quickly it was and I remember I was comparing it to 2016 and my feelings of 2016, and I remember my feelings of 2016 just being like dumbfounded, being like, how could this have happened? How can this actually be our reality? And unfortunately, that was less my feeling this time around than it was just, oh shit, I so much hate that I was right about the failings of the Harris campaign and Democrats over 4 years. And I just was like, I really, really hope that that's the only thing I'm right about, and that I'm not right about what Trump might be about to do. Because fuck, we could be in for some trouble. And the fact that he's going to have the trifecta is staggeringly devastating. Like it's hard to even fathom the full enormity of what that could mean.
Yeah.
And we just kind of have to hope and pray that our institutions hold, and that not too many people are seriously hurt or killed. Like I don't like. We have to hope that there isn't a global war. Like it could go really bad. And we just kind of have to hope we get 2016 to 2020, but maybe a little worse. Is I think our best hope. But Liz, what are you feeling?
Oh man, I have a lot of feelings. I don't know. I'm gonna put the tinfoil hat on for a little bit and say that I'm interested in the legitimacy of winning by that much of a margin, but also, you know, that could just be me being in denial of because I like you, TJ. I really thought for sure she was gonna win. And you know, yeah, looking back, I can look at the failures of the Democratic campaign. But I also think, you know, I think 3 months is a short time to try and pull off something like that. I think there were a lot of different things that she could have done. But I also think that I also feel, I don't know, a little bit naive even being surprised, right? Because I know how much of a deeply racist and sexist nation that we live in. And, you know, I'm concerned about where things are going to go from here. My hope is that he'll be a 4-year president, that he's not going to be able to do a lot of the things that he said that he's going to do. But my fear, my like worst case fear, is that something happens and Vance ends up in the Oval Office as the president of the United States. That scares me. That scares the shit out of me.
Yeah. Trump dying and Vance coming president, like it's not an insane conclusion to come to. Trump is 78 and he doesn't look like a good 78. I mean, he's him. What actually also worse that if Trump kicks it at 80 years old or something, that you know it's going to be slated as a deep state conspiracy to get rid of Trump. He will be a martyr for the next 150 years. They're gonna. I mean, it doesn't matter how Trump dies; he's going to be put up there as a martyr of some sort. I understand the feelings a lot of people have. A lot of folks. I saw a David Pakman video out of random, and he said that he lost 500 subscribers or something. And I was talking to Tennessee Brando, and he said he talked to a lot of creators that a lot of people have unsubscribed from political content because, you know, of the despair and the sadness that they're feeling right now. And here's to that. The first thing I think is that I get it. I understand that. Second, you guys will be back. You will. Like, you guys, like, if you guys are like, because I felt for like 10 minutes, something I feel every now and then, like even when not in times like these, like, man, why do I waste my time doing this? Like, what am I doing here? I'm just trying to tell these people about marginal tax rates and stuff, and they're basically saying that, you know, Brando has what plants crave. That's the people I'm talking to and everything. It's just, it seems like a waste of time. But, you know, what I like to say in times like these is that it's okay to be discouraged. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be in your feelings. It's okay to be scared. It is not okay to stay that way. That's the best way that I can put this. That on Tuesday morning, when I woke up, I said, all right, we got an election tonight. If Donald Trump loses this election on Wednesday, I'm going to say, hey, that was great. And I'm going to get up, go to work, and start spreading leftist agitprop. If Donald Trump wins the election, I'm like, okay, that sucks. I'm going to get up, go to work, and start spreading leftist agitprop. The job never ends. It doesn't change. What does change is how difficult it is. But I've seen some people saying this too, that, you know, hey, I'm just so discouraged now. I'm really scared about how things are going to turn out. And I don't think that there's any salvaging here. I'm going to leave the country. I had the means to do so. I'm going to move somewhere else. And I don't fault them. You know, I don't blame you at all for wanting to leave the country. I'll tell you one thing. I'm not going anywhere. Like, I'm not. Like, this is my home. This is my country. I was born here. My family and friends are here. All my memories are here. I love this country. and I'm not going to let it go without a fight. I'm going to sit here and do my best to fight it to make this world a better place for me, my friends, my loved ones, people I don't even know. And that's the attitude I'm putting forth on this. I don't see, I understand the feelings and the, depression and the anxiety and the apprehension, but I don't see what good is done by focusing on that. Because that's your step one. What is your step two? Step one, not interested in. I'm interested in step two. How do you feel about this, John?
Yeah, no, I'm glad to hear you say that. It was something I have been feeling today specifically, and you put some pep in the step there, TJ, because you're exactly correct. On Tuesday night and even much of yesterday, I was like, I don't know when I'm going to be able to make content again, because it wasn't even like I knew I was going to. I wasn't like considering hanging it up, but I was like, I couldn't sit long enough with a single thought to write out a video and make it not just an incoherent ramble, because that's all my mind was doing. And today I woke up different. I woke up energized, and I'm ready to do this thing. And here's the thing. There have been a lot of very bad takes about why Kamala lost this election that we are going to get to. But I think one of the most important takes that are correct, one that I am very encouraged that I continue to see, is that the Democrats have lost the information war. And this, if you are a regular viewer of this show, is not something that should be new to you. When we originally started this show, the stated goal was to try and build the left-wing Daily Wire. Like that was my intention, because it is lacking from the left. We don't have that sort of infrastructure. We do not have that sort of funding. We do not have that sort of organization. And a lot of that is because the Democratic Party has ignored, and I don't mean to be like me, because I know that I'm still relative small fry, but they've had opportunity to put together a coalition of an independent media, of people who have parasocial relationships with their audiences that can actually move the needle. And they haven't done that. Not only have they not built it themselves, but they've lost independents like Joe Rogan, Joe Rogan was a fucking Bernie endorser and Andrew Yang guy back in 2020. And they completely lost him in the last 4 years because they've ignored that. Kamala literally decided to not take the interview opportunity. And I keep seeing that repeated in the mainstream in a very similar way to how I saw when Biden had the debate, and I saw the mainstream kind of repeating, hey, maybe he should drop out. And I fucking latched onto that. Energized me. I know a lot of us did the same thing, and we went after it and after it, and it actually worked. And I think that if we can hold message discipline on that, we might see some change in the left-wing media landscape. Might not be us, who knows? But we need to really all be pulling together right now. I feel a less like what I'm doing is an artistic outlet, and more like what I'm doing needs to be a concerted effort to organize and move people. And I don't know how. Then I don't think it's going to change. I think it's only going to deepen over the next 4 years. Liz, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think there's a lot of talk of what do we do now. We talk about build community, but realistically, what does that look like to a lot of people? And something like this is, I think, a really good place to start. I saw a video, I actually tagged you guys in it earlier, just before I hopped on, of another creator saying, it was like 5 minutes before we hopped on.
I didn't see that.
You might have already been on. I think I was a few minutes late. But it was another creator saying, it was like, leftist dudes, now might be the time to start that podcast. Because, yeah, it's, I don't know. I think a lot of people were surprised at the Gen Z voter turnout, especially the male Gen Z voter turnout, but I'm not surprised at that. That was the one that I was expecting not to go the way that people were anticipating. Because there has just been such an increase in yeah, where even the former moderates like Joe Rogan now, just there's a lot of just a steady stream of misogynistic content on at least the guests, that he puts on there and platforms, and it has been so normalized. And just like the, I don't know, I've blocked a bunch of people in the last couple of days talking about own the libs and I love to see your tears and things like that. Like, it's very, I don't know, we have this culture of what's the word? It's like the debate culture, but that's not the word that I'm looking for. But a very reactive culture that almost delights in seeing other people miserable or owned or, I don't know, held accountable. I don't really know how much accountability can be held on the internet, but anyway, tie that all back to, I think it is a good way to organize, right? People they are on their phones. They are listening to something. Why couldn't it be you guys? Why couldn't it be dudes who are willing to meet people where they're at? Especially men. A lot of these dudes, they're not listening to women anyway. So there are a lot of podcasters that I particularly love who are women, but their audience is mostly women.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, John and I, every time we have guys on that are, traditionally masculine anyway, we bring this up all the time, that it is so important to do this. And it's unfortunate that it comes to that, but look, we got to operate in the real world. Like, do you guys want to win elections or not? And some things might seem like, for example, with the Joe Rogan thing, we swear we're going to talk Joe Rogan the whole show, but we're no fans of Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is an idiot moron who has, he started off like benign, just a regular ass shithead comedian who would have other comedians on. And he had like weird conspiracy theorists on talking about, ancient aliens and stuff. And when COVID hit, though, he was one of the folks that bought fully, because he was already, conspiracy minded, bought into the COVID shit and fell into the right-wing ecosphere. And he's really never escaped it ever since. And that now he buys into every insane conspiracy they have. But John and I said that Harris made a mistake by not going up. This is before the election. We said that she should go on Rogan's show because, look, you're not going to win over most Rogan voters a couple weeks before the election. We knew that. But it's millions of dollars of free advertisement. Joe Rogan is not, she went on Fox News. Joe Rogan is not going to be a more antagonistic interview than Fox News. And the reaching the young men thing, it has to happen. Like, it has to, because if we're just going to, it's kind of like how we talk about when you have real news articles that come out from reputable organizations, you click it and there's a paywall behind it. You will never see a paywall behind the Daily Wire. You'll never see a paywall behind townhall.com or any right-wing conspiracy shit. Building a media like that, and the Republicans embrace it. The Republicans dive right in. Like, you had Donald Trump going, not just on normal podcasts like Joe Rogan. He was showing up on Aiden Ross, just like the most but this works. It works. And Democrats they're kind of stuck in 1998. It's like, oh, I really need to get on with CNBC and the Wall Street Journal. That's what's going to get the votes. Apparently not. Apparently not. You got to wake up and realize what year it is.
TJ, it's been like a little bit of like a shock. It has been a shock. There's a word for it. Maybe like Schadenfreude. I don't know, but I'm seeing the people who were telling us we've been wrong for the past, 2 years, just repeating the same shit I've been saying for those 2 years. And it makes me want to slap them in the face. Because what Liz just said there, it is so ingrained. It is something I've been fucking hammering for years. You can go back through my content and and it even doesn't do that well. My masculinity content does not do particularly well. And part of that is because we don't have the money to make it do well. All of these fucking Andrew Tates, all of those people are backed by multi-million-dollar fucking institutions and donors and investors. We don't have that on the left. We have a disparate, just random individuals who have built their own audiences. And so it's much more difficult to organize that sort of momentum. It's difficult for our views on masculinity to naturally break into the algorithm without some sort of organization and financial backing to get them there. And that's tough. And it really hurts me to see like mainstream people being like, "Oh, we missed the buck on the reaching these Gen Z boys," and when it's like this has been so clear and fucking obvious since we were in fucking lockdown. Like it has been even before that, and it saddens me. It at one side where it's like, yeah, being a leftist is just being right too early and everyone getting mad at you for it. Like we hear this all time and time and time again. But at least they're realizing we were right now. You know, like I hate that it took this, but at least they're at least kind of realizing it. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what is, and that's the thing. I'm kind of ranting here, but every time a party loses an election, and I've said this on the show before, they're like, "Oh, the party's over. What do they do now? How do they recover?" And you know what? They always fucking do. But we need to make sure we recover in the right way, because we did not recover in the right way from 2016. We got lucky with the fucking pandemic, an increasing voter turnout because of it, and Trump just being the president and pissing people off. But we didn't get lucky this time. And you know what? It fucking bit us in the ass once again, because the 2016 campaign strategy is exactly what we've been running for the past 8 years.
Yep.
And it didn't work in 2016,
Yep.
and it definitely doesn't fucking work in 2024.
Yeah, and with what Liz was saying about the young boys and everything, we were talking about how to reach them and target them and everything in the messaging. It kind of reminds me of like what I talk about with reaching white voters. Is that so? I want to make it very. Actually, you know what? Before I go on that, I saw Mark put a comment here that I want us to go into. He's like, "I'm interested in your take on why Kamala lost. Do you blame the idiot, racist, trash population? Is it Biden's fault? Was Kamala's candidacy too centrist? What?" All right, so that's a very good question, and I like to get. Oh, go ahead, Mark, John.
We're gonna get into it, but no, yes. Is the quick answers to those questions.
Okay, so the first question where he says, "Do you blame the idiot, racist, trash population?" So it's no and yes for me, and now I'll explain why. So for the people who voted for Trump, there's the yes. Okay, yes, absolutely, I blame them, right? But for the non-voters, I've seen, and I haven't gotten you guys to take on this, but I've done a lot of this. So if I differ from Liz and John, I apologize in advance. Well, not really apologize, but I have grown quite tired of all of these videos and speeches that I've seen from people who spend 3 minutes blaming the non-voters. So for those of you who don't know, the people, like the difference between Kamala's votes and Biden's vote, there's like 15 million people, something like that. And maybe it'll be a little bit lower by now, maybe 12, 13, but over 10 million more people voted for Biden than for Kamala. And so they'll say, all right, well, it's their fault we lost. You know, the voters are just, too bad. Okay, great. Now what? Because that's not a solution. Like, what I want to know is, are we interested in complaining or are we interested in solving the problem? Because like when you're a politician or a political movement like us, your job is to sell your vision. Yeah, this is my vision for how the country and how life can be better for the people. And if customers don't buy into your product, you can't go to your evaluation and say, well, I guess the customers were just bad. It's their fault I didn't succeed, not mine. Okay, maybe the customers are bad. Maybe the customers are stupid. Maybe the customers are immoral. Maybe the customers are literal demons from hell. Good to know. Next quarter, you're going to have to go out there and sell to those same customers. What is your plan to bring them back? That's what the conversation is. A lot of folks are focusing on the first step that, oh, these are bad voters. Good. What is step 2? Not interested in step 1. I am tired of hearing about step 1. What is your plan to get those voters to vote for you? Because if you're just going to resign yourself into saying that, well, these voters are just shitty and, there's nothing we could do. All right, then go home. Pack it up, quit, move, because that's what you're saying. And I'm tired of it. I just want actual solutions and not just complaining. Well, I'll go to Liz first. What do you think?
I think the unfortunate result of that is the lesson that's going to be learned is move further to the right to try and get votes from a voter bloc that is consistent.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can see where you're coming from. It is their job to appeal to people, to energize people, to get people out to vote. But Republicans pretty consistently do vote. And yes, Trump did get less votes overall, less people voted this time around. But still. So I don't think the Democrats are going to learn any lessons. I think the lesson that they keep learning is the right votes. So shift further right. So, my hope is that we can get a strong progressive candidate that people can get excited about, they can rally around, especially if we start now, the next presidential election 4 years from now. But there are local elections usually in most states that happen every single year. So, I don't know. I think that I'm not super optimistic in this moment, but I also, it's just been 2 days, so I think that there is a lot that can be done, and my hope is that the fear turns into motivation for a lot of people. So we'll see.
So Liz, you said something there that is historically true, and however, I have optimism that it might not be true this time. And that's that the lesson that they're going to take from this is that they need to move more to the center. Kind of what I said about the alternate independent media ecosystem they need to build, where I'm seeing it out from like the people the Democratic Party fucking actually cares about right now. And I'm seeing this take two, not just from our side of the world, but from like normal centrists going, hey guys, we didn't lose because Donald Trump won more votes than he did. We lost because Democrats didn't show up. And not only that, but we saw repeatedly, even in red states, populist left-wing economic policies pass ballot initiatives where Kamala Harris lost. And I think there is enough evidence, like sheer objective evidence, to say, hey guys, John Cooper was right for the past fucking year. You don't win an election by trying to go after competitors. And this is just, I work in marketing, right? And I've been saying this for fucking ever. You don't, like, if you have a marketing scheme where there's a bunch of green space, 30% of the population doesn't participate in this product at all. They aren't your competitor. They aren't purchasing your competitor's product. If you're spending your fucking marketing dollars going after your competitor's fucking buyers, you're an idiot. You are dumb. It is so much harder to get someone to switch off of your competitor than to get someone who's already familiar with you to buy your product again. And consistently, time and time again, in the past 3 elections, we have seen the Democrats, the fucking Chuck Schumer quote, for every blue collar worker in Pennsylvania we lose, we're going to gain 2 Republican moderates in the suburbs. And they learned the long fucking lessons from 2020, and they tried it again, and it didn't work, because you need to fire up your base and get them to go out and vote, especially if the Democrats, who literally Trump hasn't passed that ceiling at all. He lost votes this time too. He has a ceiling, and if you fire up your base to go out there and win, you will win. We did not reject leadership from after 2016. Pelosi's still around, Schumer's still around, Biden's obviously still around, but they are all way too fucking old to still be here in 4 years. Like, I maybe Schumer's going to be here in 4 years, but Biden Pelosi can't possibly be. And I mean that like in a very literal sense, but they have to be gone, and something is going to change. Like, we are going to see different leadership. It's going to happen, and it's incredibly important, especially for us, to be pushing them in the right direction very loudly and very clearly, that we didn't lose this election because we weren't centrist enough. They fucking tried it, and it lost miserably. And it lost because Democrats didn't show up. That's it. It's pretty simple.
So, John,
the solution.
Oh, go ahead, Liz. No, please.
I was gonna say, so the solution is not go more right.
Yeah.
The right.
Will they? Will they? They very well might, Liz. They're
very well
clearly
might,
idiots. But yeah, I don't. And by the way, the people who keep telling me, oh, so you know more than the fucking people running the campaign who have been saying that to me for the past like several months, go fuck yourself. Like these are the same goddamn people who are like, let's keep the corpse of Joe Biden in. These are the people, like, they caused this. The next 4 years are because of the fucking Democratic Party and the goddamn idiots running their messaging. That's it. Everything that happens over the next 4 years, that is who I blame most. I don't blame Trump. I don't blame Republicans because they did what they're fucking supposed to. The Democrats didn't. And that is who I put the fucking blame on.
So I'm so glad you mentioned the going after, because I wrote down a whole bunch of things I wanted to cover. I was about to hop on the 2012 thing because for those of you who remember, in 2008 and 2012, it was kind of accepted knowledge that the Republican Party was fucking dead. That the Republican Party had reached this level where the Obama massacred John McCain. And then in 2012, the Republicans it was the reverse of this last election, because the Republicans were supremely confident that they were going to beat Barack Obama with Mitt Romney. They all thought they were going to win. Didn't happen. And they actually made an official statement. We're doing a Republican Party autopsy to go over what happened and see what we could change. That's exactly what's happening right now. So like John said, there have been all these points in time. If you live long enough, you see enough of them where you'll see parties says it's over, it's done. There's nowhere we can go from here. I don't believe that. If I did, then I wouldn't be here, right? That's how I see it, that I would just quit. I'd be done. It's like, hey, pack it up. It's all over. But I'm so glad you brought up the reaching out to the moderators. I can't believe I didn't write that down, because I don't know about you, Liz, but John and I have been gnawing on this bone for months. Look, with the margins that Harris lost by, I'm not convinced anything could have been done to salvage this. I really, looking back on this now, that it's not close. I mean, like she won New Jersey by 5 points, man. 5 points, New Jersey. So I just don't think there was ever going to be enough support for Harris to win. I don't think she reached out to the base. She would have won. I don't think picking a different VP would have gotten her a win. I don't think calling for an arms embargo would have. I don't think if Joe Biden stayed in, he would have won. I think that the problems were more deeply entrenched. I think that, people tied inflation, however you want to see it or whatever, directly to Biden, and that with the truncated campaign, of course, with Harris, nothing could have happened. Like if Biden had decided not to run 2 years ago and they had a whole primary, could have been an entirely different story. But based on the facts as they happen, I just don't think it could have worked. But one thing that I know damn sure did not help is bragging about the Cheney family endorsing your candidacy. And when I'm sure you guys saw the chart where it said in 2020, 96% of Republicans voted for Republicans and 4% voted for Democrats. This election, it went all the way to 5%. We gained 1% of Republican votes. Like all that time, wasting the time, energy, money. Oh, John's got it here. Yeah, 94-6 to 94-5. Wow, so it went down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my God!
They lost.
I thought it's even worse. They lost. Yeah. So look, everyone who was telling us that actually it's a really good idea that we put Dick Cheney up there. And once again, you can't control whether or not Dick Cheney endorses you. You don't got to brag about it. You don't got to be up there saying, "Hey, isn't this fantastic that we got the Cheney family with us?" I just a comically awful self-own that didn't need to happen. But yeah, hopefully we do learn that lesson that if Republican voters aren't going to vote for Democrats, they're not going to do it. No matter how much, the Lincoln Project, I can't even be mad at them fleecing the fucking Democrats for all that money for 4 years and everything. I can't blame them at all.
Here's the thing, TJ. If you are going to win over Republicans, you do that in between elections. I tweeted this out, and by tweeted I mean Threads did, but we don't have a good word for that. That it's kind of weird how much money political parties and politicians spend on ads, on everything in the election season, because that is the time when people are most inundated with all of this political information. They're the least susceptible to it because of that, and everyone is putting their messaging out but they're not going to be convinced to vote differently in a couple of weeks or months. That's just not how the human brain works. And you need to be doing that work to change minds during the term. That's when you have a chance to message to people and be like, hey, look at all these things we're doing. Look at the effects. This is how it's going to change your life. This is why you're going to want to vote for us in the next 3, 2, 1 year. It's a waste of fucking money to spend all of this during the 6 months before the election. You got to be putting out that. And by the way, they really sucked at it too. It's not even like that. We'll get to the specific messaging too, but like to just finish out this point, like if you want to change minds, that's great. You don't do it during election season. I don't know anyone who's ever changed their fucking vote. Like undecided voters don't actually exist.
Nope.
We've been screaming this for years.
We've been saying this for a long time.
Don't exist. Like they're at least in large enough numbers to matter.
And if they did exist, why would you want to hear from them? Like they're the last people that I want to hear about. People's like, I don't know if I'm going to vote or not. Okay, I'm not interested in what you have to say. I'm going to mobilize people who actually want to vote. Those are the ones who I want to talk to. What do you think about that, Liz?
Yeah, no, strong agree. I think all of these things that people have been saying, and rightfully so, saying about Jill Stein, saying about the Green Party, talking about, people coming in grifting every 4 years. But a lot of people's main critique was, if Jill Stein specifically was serious, she would throw her support behind local candidates. She would run for some local office, anything like that, right? But okay, now that's true for the Democrats. Like we need to, I don't know, plug in, get involved, but they need to get involved. They need to get online. I'm looking back on all of the ways, right, that I was naive. And one of the things that gave me hope in this election was the Kamala HQ on TikTok. And I know that it's a lot of propaganda, but it's the first time I've seen a politician get engaged with social media like that, other than AOC, on a slightly more minor scale. She does her live streams and she's on Instagram and stuff like that. But I'm hoping to see a lot more of that, because that was the going back to Joe Rogan, that was the mistake in not going on Joe Rogan, is that, yeah, there was a whole group of people watching Fox News who you're going to reach, but there's a whole group of people who aren't watching any news at all that you could have reached.
Yep.
And I think they need to start taking that really seriously if they want to energize Democratic voters to come out and vote. There was a lot of talk about how down ballot was important, and I want to keep that energy moving forward. With down ballot,
this is important too. This is why I say I don't think there's anything that could have saved the campaign, honestly, because some of those down ballots were wild. Like I saw one in Dearborn, Michigan. Rashida Tlaib won by like 24 in that district. Trump won by 7. There were people who went in and voted for Rashida Tlaib and then Donald Trump. Hey, you saw this? Like this happened with Ilhan Omar. It happened with AOC. Yeah, I mean, it happened all over the country. I saw this. So there's a famous video. I don't know if you guys saw from CNN where it showed that they were clicking the screen and they showed that Harris didn't outperform Biden in a single county in the entire country. It turned out that map was inaccurate. He pressed the wrong button, but it was something like she outperformed him in like 8 counties or something in the entire country. It was still a blank map right there. So yeah, it's not like these people are irredeemable. They couldn't have been won. And I say this too because one of my favorite things to say on this channel or on my account is when people say that politics is a popularity contest, they're fucking right. I hate to say it. I wish people voted on policies and on issues. And it's not on policy because that famous chart they had where they just blind ask people policies, and like 90% of people agreed with Harris's policies and like 40% agreed with Trump's policies. And if it's just on policy, then Harris wins, but it's not. It's based on vibes, it's on gut feelings, it's on instinct, it's on intuition. And we got to realize that. Like we don't need to run Jon Stewart or anything, but you need to run somebody who connects the people on that kind of level. And the Republicans, as pernicious and as awful as they are, they do have people who connect with their base on that more visceral level, far more than we have.
I wanted to jump on that point with Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and AOC. The people maybe the take that like makes me want to fucking strangle someone the most right now, the wrong why Kamala lost take is, oh well, America's just too fucking misogynist and racist to elect a black woman president. It's like, motherfucker, look at those fucking districts that Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, AOC, they kicked Kamala's fucking ass. They won by massive margins. You can't tell me that these voters didn't vote for Kamala because she's a black woman, but voted for Ilhan Omar. That doesn't make sense, and it pisses me off so much because it's I don't know. I'm always the fucking like naive one. I always have more faith in fucking humanity than most, but like, no, that's not it. There's definitely fucking like internal biases that cause that, but that is not the reason she lost. That is at the very least an overcomable obstacle for the right fucking person if they do it right.
So
go ahead.
Yeah, what I would say is that we can cite it as one of the reasons because it's true that say like we're example with Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, or whatever, the people that voted for her and then voted for Trump, that's a problem. The people who didn't vote at all, they could have stayed out because of the woman thing. But we don't know. Well, we don't know for sure. But the way I look at this is there's if the sole reason, like if it's the difference between saying it's the reason and one of the reasons. Because if it's the reason, then what you got to say is, all right, once again, that's a step one. If that's the reason, what is the step two? The step two is never nominate a woman again. Because like that's what it is. Like, and if that's, and now look, if you want to come out and say it, sure, all right, fine. But at least that's a step two. I'm not interested in the step ones. So, but if we're saying it's one of the reasons, because I don't think she could have won either way. I don't think Biden could have won either way. But you have to address all those problems and how to fix them. And that's how I would go on for that. Well, what do you think, Liz?
I definitely think there's a racism and a sexism component at large. I think a lot of people don't want to acknowledge the biases that were at play as to why they rode so hard against her. I think this was a campaign that was set up for failure. I think Biden ran promising that he wasn't going to run for a second term, and then he did it anyway.
Yeah.
We should have had a primary. And I think people put a lot on her in a way that is unprecedented for a vice president, for anyone running for that office. This is the most qualified candidate that we've ever had. I think it's a little bit naive to say that sexism and racism didn't play a role here. I mean, there were very prominent leftists on the internet just hurling slurs at her, you know, like it was an intensely vitriolic campaign. And now granted, I was 8 when Obama first ran. So it was very possible I was blinded to it, and it was similar then. But I don't know. And I'm already seeing, you know, Democrats leaning into abandoning women for the sake of winning more votes. You know, it I don't know. I definitely think it is part of it. Now, were there ways that she could have ran this campaign better? Yeah, definitely.
Yes, well, Liz, what you're saying, like that's my fear, because like if the solution or if the postulation is the women can't win, the only answer is don't run women again, and I don't agree with that.
They're already saying that.
Yeah, I don't agree with that, and so that's why I can't accept that it's now. Once again, I'm not saying it's not the issue.
Accept it, right? But the solution is to confront it, to acknowledge it, and confront it. Because if you keep putting up women candidates and they keep losing, because we live in a society that just doesn't really respect women, and a lot of people are like, I mean, I like women, I just don't think a woman could be in charge of things, and nobody questions that ever. Like.
One of the best quotes I saw from this, well, best or worst, however you want to put it, was that I knew that millions of men hated women, but turns out millions of women hate women too. And that's one of the the most powerful quotes I saw about this, because we've seen the numbers. Like white women. This is the white women stats that come out every election year. White women voted for Hillary Clinton at 49%. And, I'm sorry, they voted for Trump at 49% and Hillary Clinton at 47%. And then in 2020, they voted for Trump at 52%. He gained 3 points. And then this time it was Trump at 53%. It's been pretty consistent the entire time. And that's staggering. And I'm not trying to start a war or anything here, but it's like, I just remember everyone saying that black men were going to abandon here. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. It didn't happen, it turns out. But and that's what Liz, I'm saying, I agree, is that there's two paths you can take. Was like, hey, what can we do to address this fact, or do we just abandon it altogether? And that's all I want people to say, is to focus on the solution, not I want something prescriptive, not descriptive. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I want to clarify what I said, because like I'm definitely not saying that there isn't sexism and racial bias, and they do play a factor. The thing that pisses me off is when people say she could have never won because America is too sexist and racist, because I think that's bullshit. There are female leaders of other countries that are just as fucking sexist as we are. It's not like it's some glass ceiling that has never been broken. It's never been broken here.
Whoa. I was gonna say, kind of.
I don't think that we are more sexist than any nation that has had female leaders. I think that sexism is pretty rampant across the fucking globe. I don't think we are particularly sexist in this country, but maybe I'm wrong about that. But I do think that a woman can win, and I don't think it's a massive fucking detriment. In fact, I would say that being a woman is less of a detriment than Donald Trump's age here. Like I would genuinely maybe I'm wrong. Again, maybe I'm putting too much faith in the American people. But I want to bring up Mark's question here. Because it's a very important question.
No.
And it's directly related to what we're talking about.
Oh, no.
Serious question. Do you think Biden feels vindicated? And honestly, do you think Kamala was a good candidate? Liz said it earlier. I'm not going to steal her thunder, but she said it earlier, and I'll repeat it here. Biden should have never fucking ran. Like that was the problem. It wasn't so much, was Kamala a good candidate or was it not? By the time Biden dropped out, Kamala was the only option. And I said if he dropped out immediately after the debate, I would have wanted a primary. But he dragged his feet for a fucking month, and we ended up with Kamala. And Kamala, I'll give her credit, was way better than I expected.
Yep.
I've fucking criticized her campaign severely. I think there was a lot she could have done differently. I think her decision to run as Biden 2.0, and I said this before the fucking election, was a devastating mistake that cost her the election. I think if she had just taken it and ran and been her own candidate, we might have seen a different result. But just Biden 2.0 was never going to win this election. It wasn't going to win the election when Biden was in the race. It wasn't going to win the election with Kamala in the race. It wouldn't have won the election with Jesus Christ himself in the race. People didn't like Biden, and just saying more of that was never going to win this. Yeah. I think Kamala did way better than she did in 2020 in terms of being a candidate and being a politician that speaks to the people. But it wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough to overcome that massive fucking difference. And that is kind of my opinion on her as a candidate. I think she's fucked now.
Yep, that's it.
I think she's poisoned now. She'll run again in 2028. But I don't think she'll win the primary, and I think that's kind of just the end of her story. What do you think, Liz?
We'll see. I mean, yeah, it's interesting. I'm at this point where I don't necessarily want to make too many predictions about
good call.
Portion in the future. Yeah, in 2028, we'll see who runs, but and I don't know. We'll see how this goes too. I'm sorry. I just lost my train of thought completely.
Was Biden vindicated, and was Harris a good candidate?
Man, I thought for what she had and what she was given, she was a great candidate. Again, I do think that there are things that she could have done differently. Namely around the way that she advertised the campaign, the way that she addressed, ordinary everyday people. I think a big problem with the Democratic Party is the bit of elitism. You've got these people like Nancy Pelosi, like Joe Biden, who are just entrenched and have been there for so long that need to get out. And so there were a lot of moves that she made that I was seeing be widely criticized, and I was also but that I thought might help her do better, genuinely, just because of how. But looking back on it, it's just the Democratic Party setup, right? Like she was catering to the way that things used to be, the way the Democratic Party has been rolling for too long now. So I don't know. I'm hoping that they do change and that it's a strong change. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, does Biden feel vindicated? Man, I don't know.
I said this is no.
Does he know that they lost?
Yeah,
Liz?
this is yeah. This
I don't. I don't know. I can't tell you what Biden feels. I can talk about what his team feels.
Listen,
that can have coherent thought. I have no idea if Biden knows what day of the week it is. So that's
Liz, I got to tell you. So I sent Liz a message asking him like, oh no, she asked me what time the show was, and so I said it was 6:35 Eastern Standard Time, and she asked me, hey, what are the topics for the show? I said, well, usually John and I have a list of, she said, what are the topics of the show? Or is it going to be about, jester? She's like gesturing around the room. Like it's about everything going on. I was like, yeah, it's going to be a jester wildly around the room shit. And that face you gave when we asked, does Biden feel vindicated? You're like, what? Because that's the same thought I had. Because like, all right, does Biden feel vindicated? I have no fucking idea. He should not. He shouldn't. Okay, let's be real. He should not.
He should feel very bad about himself.
He should feel terrible.
He lost this. His decision to stay in was the number one thing that caused him to lose.
You mentioned earlier. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
I was going to say, John, you mentioned earlier there being a glass ceiling and you think that women can't break it. But I don't know if, what is it called? The glass cliff or the glass escalator? It's a phenomenon where when something is failing, a business, a political movement, they'll put a woman in charge so that when it crumbles, they can say, look at the female leadership, look how they messed us up. But it's an intentional move. And it felt like Biden pushed her into that role, right? And now these failures that are significantly on Biden, and even in the last 3 months, they've been on her. They've been on the vice president. His failures while in office.
It's like it is hard to actually explain how badly the Democrats and Biden sees the president. Listen, honestly, going back before Biden, the choice to consolidate the party around Joe Biden in 2020 has just like the ramifications of this are just that will never end. The fact that we could have had Sanders. And instead, they decided, no, Obama, Barack Obama. You know what? Barack Obama is actually responsible for all of this. Barack Obama shitting on Trump at that party made Trump run for president. Trump ended up winning. Then Trump ran against. Now, I think Biden would have crushed Donald Trump in 2016. But Obama said, we're going with Hillary Clinton, and she lost. And then it came down between Sanders and Biden, and Obama stepped in and said, we're going with Biden. And then I don't think like Biden collapsing at the debate. I think that was fucked either way. Obama came in and said, well, let's go with Harris now. And so every decision Obama has made since leaving office, he's like, Obama is like when you
Jordan.
Yes, right, exactly. Obama is like a star athlete. PJ. He is a star athlete who retires and then goes into general management and fucks up the entire team. That is what Barack Obama has done.
Because he's like, why can't they just do what I did?
Yeah,
why do they suck? Why aren't they just the greatest to ever do it?
Like you take the ball, you put it in the hoop, you shoot 50% from the field, you have 31 points. What's going on here? That's what I with Barack Obama. But yeah, so the question, does Biden feel vindicated? I don't know. Biden's brain is banana pudding at this point. Who knows if he feels vindicated or not? But he should not, because this, recently has rested upon him. He did campaign saying, it'd be pretty great. I'm pretty old. If I could just, shepherd us through this, be the one guy to defeat Trump and then train someone else to take my place. Didn't happen. And he put someone else through. And was Harris a bad candidate? I agree 1,000% with, I'm pretty sure both of you said that given what she had to work with, she did a pretty good job. I have a lot of complaints about Harris's campaign. Now, like we said, catering to the centrists, fighting like hell for those Republican votes that we're never going to vote for you in a billion years. Locking Tim Walz in a cabinet after his first couple of weeks in which he was just lighting shit on fire and setting the stage on fire. That was a mistake. But I can't sit up here and say she ran a bad campaign. Like, it was an imperfect campaign, but every campaign is an imperfect campaign, especially in hindsight. Like, if Harris won, it'd be like, this is the greatest campaign in history. But since she lost, like, oh, look at all these mistakes and everything. Given what she had to work with, she can't overcome being Biden's VP when Biden was suffering from a lot of unpopular sentiment. And the main thrust of the show, she can't overcome the structural problems with the Democratic Party. And the Democratic Party, you both have talked about this. So when John, you mentioned the famous Chuck Schumer quote about losing the blue collar workers and getting suburb people, and Liz talking about the snooty, know-it-all academic nature of the left in general. You can blame me for a chunk of that, but that's just how the left is and everything. And we need to find a way. It is quickly split into not just a rural urban divide, but a college educated and non-college educated divide. Like, the Democratic Party is set up to appeal to people like me, college educated professionals. They speak the language of college educated professionals. They walk and talk and act. They have the same concerns as them. And there's nothing wrong with that itself, but that's only like 30% of the country. Okay. We talk about how Trump, for example, I have this thing I always say about Trump, is that Trump is genuine, and people confuse being genuine with being honest. It's not the same. Trump is not honest. He doesn't have an honest bone in his body, but he is genuine. And what I mean by that is that when you see Donald Trump talk on stage, he speaks in one way. If you saw Donald Trump talk with his friends, he would speak the exact fucking way. There would be no difference at all. It's hard to say that about other politicians. Most politicians get up stage and they turn to these robots. And so if you had a friend that talked like that, you'd be like, what's up with this dude? Why is he doing that? This is creeping me out. And people get that vibe from a lot of politicians. So it's easy to trick people into say, oh, he's acting genuine, so he must be honest. And people kind of rolling with that. You've got to find a way to get around that. You don't got to change what you're saying. You got to change how you're saying it if you want to get more people to vote for you.
I think that brings us to a really good question here, TJ. We've talked about how the Democratic Party needs to change. And we've mentioned a couple things. But what are the specific, we're doing the autopsy here. What are the things that need to be removed? Because I 100%, 1,000, and this is something I said before the election. Again, I hate how much I'm saying, oh, I was right about this before the election, because I really don't want to be right about the things I said about the Republicans before the election, but I've been right about everything I said about the Democrats. And it is 100% true that they need to be authentic. The people don't care about what Trump says. They care that he means it. And there isn't a single politician on the left besides Bernie Sanders and AOC and the squad, essentially, that actually you feel like when they're talking, they believe the words that they're saying. Everything that most Democratic politicians say sounds like it's coming from a fucking focus group.
Yes.
And Americans know what that sounds like. They can smell it from a mile away. Anytime a message comes through that was put through a corporate fucking focus group, we can all tell because we're inundated with it in advertising every goddamn day. We can tell. And all they need to do is just get up there. I swear, politicians, it's going to be more fun for you. You're going to have more fun doing this. It's going to feel like you are actually fighting for what you believe, because that's what people want you to fucking do. They don't want you to try and change what you're saying to fit what they want to hear. They want leadership. People, I'm sorry to say this, most people just want something to follow. They don't look. We've said this before, so much. It's not policy. They're not like, oh, I want my politicians to support this policy. They want to support a politician who tells them what policy is good. And that is what Democrats need to do. And for so long, they've just been trying to say what they think people want to hear. But what people want to hear is what they have to say. And they've got it completely backwards. Liz, what do you think about that? And are there any other, autopsy things we need to remove out of the fucking Republican Party? There's a lot of things we need to remove out of the Republican Party. What do we need to remove out of the Democrat Party?
Yeah, no, I'm very inclined to agree with you there. I think that there's a lot of things that need to change, especially structurally. If Biden could and would do more things while he's in office, such as expand SCOTUS, would be great, right? But in terms of cleaning house for the Democratic Party themselves, yeah, I think a lot of people need to refocus and reevaluate the way that they talk to their constituents, because people don't like to feel stupid or condescended to. And I don't say this to be mean, but when you have, what is it, the majority of America at a 5th grade reading level, a 5th grade literacy level, nobody wants to feel like they're too stupid to be a part of the group. And so, yeah, people want that authenticity that not a lot of Democratic politicians can seem to offer. But people also, they want it to be given to them in a way that's comprehensive, that could be comprehensive to your average 5th grader. I'm going to butcher the Einstein quote, but what did he say about true understanding of a concept is if you can explain it to a child? And, I think a lot of people, they learn the big fancy words and then they roll with them without a true understanding of what they mean. There are a lot of people who have this base level knowledge and it seems like they're an intellectual because of the things that they say, but the way that they move, it is just exclusionary because we don't do a good job of explaining these concepts to people. And a lot of people in the Democratic Party are guilty of that too. There's this sort of, it seems like, entrenched belief that you have to be XYZ to be a politician, including be chivalrous. And I think that Donald Trump has proved that doesn't need to be the norm anymore, and we shouldn't let that be our norm anymore either. So.
Liz, I almost stood up and applauded. One of my favorite things to say is when someone's like, when I'm cruel and when I just dress down these conservatives and give them a taste of their own medicine, they're like, oh, so much for the tolerant left. No, this is the intolerant left. Fuck you. Like I am intolerant of any number of things, like racism, sexism, homophobia, bigotry, trans. No, I'm not tolerating that. This whole idea that the tolerant left, that you tolerate everything. No human being on earth has ever tolerated everything. It doesn't make sense. And so I love standing on this because, like, even Tennessee Brando, I talked to him today, and he was saying how much it bothers him that Harris has to call and concede to Donald Trump, and that she's gonna and her and Biden are gonna be there for the inauguration. That I don't believe in gods or religion or an afterlife or anything, but at times like these, it does bother me that Donald Trump is gonna die a fucking winner. That really upsets me that he gets to break all the rules. He gets to get away with 91 felonies. He gets to spend 4 years crying like a baby. And he fucking won. And that it's like, folks, sometimes the bad guys win. Sometimes it happens. And that's why I've lost all patience for this decorum nonsense. No, you guys lost that. It's over. Like, we're not going to fight this asymmetrical war where you can do whatever you want when you can just come in throwing literal shit around and expect us to fall in line with this. And stuff that Biden can do. One thing that I wish, I've been complaining about Biden not doing this for ever since he got in office, was Donald Trump is a born marketer. Donald Trump knows how to get his name out there and how to get his accomplishments seared into the brains of hundreds of millions of people. Whenever the stock market went up, Trump was in front of a camera. Whenever unemployment fell by a 1/4 point, Trump was in front of a camera. And to the extent that if you asked your average American, hey, when was the stock market at its highest? Or when was black unemployment at its lowest? They would say Donald Trump, because he said it even though it's Joe Biden, even though Joe Biden had the highest stock market, even though black unemployment was lowest under Joe Biden, he was never talking about it. He never held press conferences about it. And I made plenty of videos about this, and I got so many comments over the years of folks saying, well, Biden knows that those metrics are misleading and he's not going to, misguide the American people. Fuck you. What good did it do him? Like, what good does it do to have this stuff if people don't know about it? Getting rid of the filibuster is obviously something that should have been done a long time ago. And look, I know people are going to say, well, they didn't have the 51 votes because of Manchin and Sinema. You were the president of the United States. You can make it happen. Twist some arms, do whatever you have to do, threaten them, play dirty. I don't care. Get it done. And because they're going to say, well, this isn't Biden's fault. No, it is, because if it passed, guess what? You'd be saying, look at the great job Biden did. Isn't it great that he got this done? But if it doesn't pass, it's magically not his fault. Like, the buck doesn't stop with Kyrsten Sinema. Okay, the buck stops with the president of the United States. And Liz, you said something about how the average American reads at like a 5th grade level or something. John, I don't know if you were on the show. It was either you or Desmond. I can't remember. Erica was definitely there. One of my favorite moments from the show is like before I was even a host was when Leah was on, and she mentioned that the American literacy rate was like 75%. And were you on that show, John? I don't know if you're there.
I'm remembering this, so I think I was.
Yeah, and none of us believed it. We looked it up. The American literacy rate is like somewhere in the 70s. I was shocked that it was that low. That so many Americans.
It wasn't literacy. It was like 8th grade reading level.
No, it was literacy. It was definitely
literacy. Is it so low that like I did look
it
up and then I immediately just forgot about it because it couldn't be true?
Oh yeah, maybe it was that. Maybe I'll have to find the clip. Maybe I can play it on the show or something like that. But that did shock me, and it ties into
literacy rate in the United States is 79% for adults. Oh my god,
79%. Yeah, it's crazy, right? And so with the 3rd grade thing, this is something that I say all the time. That Einstein quote where he said that the true test of intelligence is, can you convey this information effectively to a 3rd grader? Now, this isn't bragging about my intelligence or anything. That's not what I mean. But I am a good communicator. Okay, I'm fucking fantastic at it. I'm a rock star when it comes to this shit. And I use that example all the time because when something that's always bugged me is teacher speak. I can't stand it. Ever since I was a kid, and you have teachers and they come up from the class and they say, we're going to do this. It sounds condescending. Hey, they're doing it to like 11th graders. And so I couldn't wait to test this. When I started substitute teaching and I studied with small children, I taught Sunday school classes. I talked to them the exact same way I talk to everybody. The same way I talk to you, the same way I talk to a 5th grader. The only difference is I'm not going to swear in front of the 5th graders, and I may tell a few more jokes. But that's it. Because John, you've heard me say this before, that one of my favorite things I ever read was something written by Christopher Hitchens, and he used to write for The Nation magazine. And he said what he tries to do in his articles and his speeches is write them as if he is talking to his funniest and most intelligent friend, because people love to think they're funny and people love to think they're intelligent. So if you treat them like that, they're going to appreciate it. And if you know how to properly communicate, you can use big words if you want to, but guess what? People are like, our brains are pattern recognizing machines. Like if you use the word, I don't know, like ostentatious or something, a word that everyone may or may not know. If you surround it and put it in context, say, yeah, he wore this like flashy gold ring. It was pretty ostentatious. They'll figure out what ostentatious means. Like you can just trust people no matter what age they are. And that's it. You don't have to change what you're saying at all, but you do have to change how you're saying it to the way that it's actually acceptable and appreciated by people when they hear it. I couldn't agree more.
So that is something, first of all, again, non-political thing. We're just in fucking lockstep with it. This is something I learned as like a teenager, like working with kids, is that, if I just like talk to the little kids as if they're not little kids,
yes,
they fucking
yes,
love it.
They love it.
They love me. And it was just like, everyone's like, wow, you're so good with children. How do you do it? And I'm like, it's the easiest thing in the world. You just talk to them like they're adults. It's very simple. And that's still true at my age now. It's still true when in my content. Like that is the entire guiding North Star of my content, is that I want to take these complicated concepts like fucking, open borders, universal basic income, all these things, and explain them in a way that everyone can understand, using terminology that everyone gets. It honestly personally upsets me when I'm reading about and I'm doing my research and the wording is so needlessly academic.
Oh God.
Because I'm just like, you are trying to make yourself sound smarter at the expense of achieving your goal of communicating this information. It is the dumb thing to do to make yourself sound smart. And yeah, but that is, to apply that back to the Democratic Party, that is what they need to do. They need to be authentic. They need to talk to people, not like they're talking down to them, but like they're having a normal fucking conversation with them. I can't tell you, my favorite comment that I get, I've always said this, is, hey, I don't always agree with what you have to say, but I appreciate and respect the way you say it. I get that comment all the time, and it is my goal to get that comment. And it means that they are going to actually listen to the words that I'm saying. And that goes from a delivery standpoint, but it also goes from a content standpoint. And I think that LGBT issues are a great example of this. When Democrats ran on gay marriage, that was wildly fucking successful. They took a country that had forever not had gay marriage, was strongly opposed to it. They stood their ground and said, guys, this is ridiculous. We are going to have message discipline, and we are going to explain why gay people should be able to fucking marry each other. And they moved the population to them. The population was not primed for gay marriage. Obama was originally against it. It was not that long ago. We lived in a world where the average American would have just assumed, yeah, gay marriage shouldn't be a thing. And the Democrats moved the people. Then they were like, okay, we're the party of LGBT, or at that point, LGB. And that is where it kind of started to unravel, because, and this is not to say we need to jettison trans people. That is exactly the opposite of what I'm saying here. But in kind of that inclusivity language we were using earlier, we have gotten to the point where we try to be so inclusive of every single desire and opinion from people that we lose the message through the trees. And I was reading a thing today. I forget what it was even called. It was like some like movement for like women to not have fucking sex with men. And it's like, I get that. Sex strikes have been very effective in the past. Let's do that. But then they were like, oh, here's these 8 different types of ways that you can be part of this movement by doing this or doing that or doing that. And I'm like, God, this sounds so similar to, hey, there's like 18 different genders. And that's totally fine and acceptable to say in academic settings. It's totally fine to say and is acceptable in normal conversations with people. But when you're kind of like basing Democratic Party messaging around those sort of things, and you aren't being authentic about it, it is a recipe for disaster, because the people who really care about this shit don't like the Democratic Party because they're inauthentic about it. And the people who really hate that shit also just hate it and will always hate the Democratic Party. And if they can consolidate their messaging and just be specific when it comes to LGBT issues, hey, we want equality for LGBT people. If you want to bring up, anything else, we can talk about it, but we don't need to be the ones picking this fight. That's the direction I think they need to go in with that. And they need to pick targeted messages when it comes to it, instead of just trying to fight all of the battles. I think that is where they lost a lot. And if you talk to people who are generally, responsive to LGBT issues, they get hung up on the singular talking. We've had comments go through singular Republican talking points: trans men in women's bathrooms, trans men in women's sports. There's like 3 or 4 things they say ad nauseum on repeat, and their people just repeat it over and over and over again. And we need that kind of message discipline when it comes to our side of the argument, because we have 80,000 different messages when it comes to LGBT issues. The Republicans have like 3, and those 3 messages are going to win, because whether they're right or wrong is kind of irrelevant. They can be remembered. And honestly, that's I think a big part of the Democrats' problem is they are needlessly overcomplicating their messaging.
With the specifically the multiple gender thing, I don't know if that's like a major tentpole of any Democratic platform, though. Like that.
Let me clarify. I don't mean like that specific thing needs to be eradicated. I mean that we get needlessly complex in our messaging around these issues. Gay marriage, good. We want that. That's a good winning message. We can allow us to fight the fucking like 18 genders issues. We can do that. We don't need that to be associated with the Democratic politicians, because honestly, it's not really a fucking political issue.
It's not.
It's a culture war issue. There's no policy being set around it. Gay marriage, that's a fucking policy.
Yeah.
You know what I
It's-
mean? And that's the kind of thing I'm saying is we need to find the winning messages in this and stick to them and just let the fucking Twitter sphere fight about the rest. You know what I'm saying?
So the problem I think is that I don't think that the like gender is an endless spectrum thing comes up a lot except on Twitter and shit, and it kind of branches out from there because we like most leftists don't bring it up because there's no need to. Like 95%, 99% of the time, what happens is that that Republicans will find out, oh, look at this academic language about gender, and it's like, you know what? A good example of this is Republicans love this question is like, hey, can men get pregnant? They always, it's their setup question that they go to every time. Now, the way that Democrats answer it, I'm not particularly fond of. And the answer is they'll try to dance around it and saying, well, yes, they can, but don't explain what they mean. Because what I would, if someone asked me that, say, hey, can men get pregnant? My answer would be no. I'd say no, they can't. And they're like, well, why? Because look, we got to define the same terms here. Because when you're saying man, I know what you actually mean is someone like me, or someone as far as you know is me. You know, someone who was born with, XX chromosomes and no uterus. There's no chance I can get pregnant. That's what you're talking about when you ask me to get pregnant. Now, I'll ask you, can a trans woman get pregnant? Like, that's what my answer, my question in return. Can a trans woman get pregnant? Because that's what I'm talking about. Or a trans man get pregnant. I'm sorry, can a trans man get pregnant? That's what I'm talking about. And I think there's different ways to answer it without having to get deep into the weeds with it. But get into the weeds when it's necessary. Just don't be shaky about what you're saying. Don't try to make it seem like you know what? I can't remember whose show I was on. If this is this show or a different one, but this comes up with the third trimester abortion issue, which I have been, John, I have been livid with the way Democrats answer this because, folks, for those of you who don't know, this is how these conversations always go. The Republican gets up there and says, there are women who are executing their babies in the 9th month of their pregnancy. Isn't that horrific? Everyone who hears that is going to say, yeah, are you kidding me? A 9-month? Like that child can live. Why are they being aborted? And then they go to the Democrats like, do you support that? And I swear, every time, like with few exceptions, they'll say, well, you got to understand, these are 0.5% of all abortions. Horrible fucking answer. Horrible answer. Because you're conceding the immediate implication that an abortion on a 9-month fetus is murder. And then what you're saying is, I'm okay with a few thousand murders a year. That's what you're saying. And they never take the offense. And that's what you need to do is say, how dare you? Who do you fucking think you are going after these women? Do you know the circumstances behind anyone having an 8th, 9th, 10th month abortion? Do you know any reason that this could possibly happen? No one's going through this. These are women who have decided they want to have kids. They're carrying this fetus to term. They find out is the worst news of their life. Either the child has some sort of abnormality or fetal abnormality that the child's going to die. They'll give birth to a baby who will lay there and suffer for hours or days while they rack up hundreds of thousands of dollars of health insurance bills. Or this woman is going to die if she carries this fetus to term. She has to decide who's going to live, her or the child. And if you're insinuating that there's people out there who are carrying fetuses the full term, deciding in the 9th month they don't want them, you know what happens? They induce the pregnancy. They induce the labor. That's what happens. It's honestly, it just outside of the morality, it's cheaper. It's actually just cheaper to induce the labor rather than kill the child. The baby's got to come out either way, right? So you're targeting people who are in the most vulnerable, worst positions of their lives and exploiting them for political capital. That's what should happen. That's the answer they should give. But instead, they dance around this like, well, it's only 0.5% because they don't feel like doing the work of getting into it. I think that's what they need to do, is that whenever you're trapped on something like this, because it is a trap, it's not a question of asking good faith, go on the offensive. Don't look weak. Don't look strange. Don't look creepy. Just go on the offense. And sorry, Liz, I know I got to get you into this, but one more thing I want to add here. When John mentioned the LGBTQIA plus used to be LGB, I'm old enough to remember that. I wrote that because I remember when it was LGB, and this is one of those rare times where I was like, the right wingers may be onto something here, when they were making fun of how long the acronym got, because I thought that too. Like when they got to LGB, then they got to LGBT, then LGBTQ, then LGBTQ. I said, okay. Then they added the plus.
After
like, okay.
the T, I was like, it's too long. Like,
it's too long.
We either need a whole new acronym that's all inclusive.
Yes,
or like it's the messaging, it's the branding.
Yes.
It's nothing else.
The whole point of an acronym is to be easy to say, to understand. LGBTQIA plus is horrible to say, which is why I'm glad over the last years it just went to queer. Like, okay, good. All right. That makes a lot more sense to me, because how long I'm going to keep going with this? But sorry, Liz, that was your turn to talk, but that's my rant.
Liz has made so many interesting faces of like, I know she has something interesting to say, and she's been so patient.
I'm sorry.
This is going to be a show where we're not really polished and consolidated.
This is
a show where we're getting stuff off our chest.
Yeah,
go ahead, Liz.
Yeah,
Talk
sorry,
for the next
Liz.
10 minutes.
Yeah, no, I guess just first to address you, John. I mean, I don't know. There are a lot of things that happen in the online sphere, these fringe things that make their way to mainstream talking points. So, is the multi-gender, multi-pronoun thing what any Democrats are actually hinging on? I haven't seen it. It's mostly the Twitter beefs, the TikTok beefs. And yeah, I think the messaging, right, when it comes to issues like this has been so fumbled. It's been so fumbled because it falls to usually trans people to have to explain that to people. It's falling to women, to doctors, and more so, right, are these campaigns partnering with women. That was one thing that Kamala Harris really did, was try and have women tell their stories. But exactly, not only does it need to be offensive to what you said, TJ, but it also needs to hit them in the points that they understand and that resonate with who they're saying that they are, right? So you have people saying that they want big government, or they hate big government, except when it comes to women's exam rooms. You're telling me you actually want big government, except when it comes to people who cross the border to get healthcare. Like, it's a reframing of it in a way that is absolutely offensive, and it doesn't concede these bullshit points. They're bullshit. No one is out here murdering a baby, but it's been so fundamentally twisted, the messaging, because Republicans run on this incendiary messaging. And you can trace the abortion issue back, right? It is manufactured by Republicans in league with a lot of churches to get the working class to vote against their best interests. It is something incendiary, and it is meant to make people feel uncomfortable, right? What is the easiest thing to get people upset about? Dead babies. And so the messaging, it's so that we relinquish too much instead of calling fucking bullshit where shit is bullshit. Abortion is healthcare. Abortion has never been murder. It will never be murder. These late trimester abortions that people are talking about still aren't murder because somebody is dead or going to die. These aren't viable pregnancies. And that's exactly. It's only 0.5% of cases. These aren't viable pregnancies. The thing that you're saying is happening isn't happening. Abortion is murder is a quick, catchy phrase that everybody was able to glom onto, and abortion is healthcare just doesn't have the same incendiary ring to it. It does not make people feel like they are standing up for something important when they take a stand that they have to do virtually nothing to care about or advocate for, right? It's such an easy thing, abortion, to get upset about, to claim that you're pro-life while doing nothing for the people who are currently alive in at least America, right? So it's just, it's lazy, but not enough people who want to fight the good fight, especially people who are in positions of political power, are willing to meet these people where they're at and talk about how this shit is not murder. And yeah, get into the nitty gritty where you need to, but I don't know. A lot of times I think we overcomplicate things. And then before I yield my time, I'm sorry, I got to ask for a brief intermission. I got to use the restroom real quick.
That's all right. I like that you said yield her time. That was a funny, I don't know why that made me laugh so much. Like it's a congressional meeting or something like that. That did make me laugh. I wanted to pull up a comment here. Red Scare Claire said that XY, sorry, I'm an undergrad, bio undergrad. I think I said XX chromosomes for a male. That must be what they're talking about there. But yeah, it's just, someone else wrote something here. Let's see. Oh, I just saw this. Leilani says, I discovered TJ on Tennessee Brando. This is really weird.
That's the second comment I saw saying that. Someone else.
Oh, okay. So
I think Andre said they came here from Tennessee Brando.
I didn't see that one, but it's funny because my niece's name is Leilani, and that's why I jumped out. And my niece is a 1-year-old, so I don't think this is her, but I do appreciate coming on here. But God, there's someone wrote something about leftists need to package their stuff as a religion, and that made me laugh because that's exactly what the Republicans have done. That's exactly what they've done. Oh, is Liz frozen? Hold on. Oh no, that's something else. But that's exactly what Republicans have done, is that they have marketed this not as a religion, but tied to being part of the religion. That's something that I don't know if we can get over. That's not going to work on the left, where we market it as a religion, because we're not going to buy into that. But we need something that's just as unifying.
So TJ, here's the thing. You're right. We can't market it as religion because the left isn't religious. Like it can't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the important thing to remember is kind of what I said earlier. Religious people are religious because they're fucking sheep. And they just want something to follow. And this is what fucking Jesus calls him, bro. He's a fucking he is that you are the flock and he is the shepherd. It is not it is the literal the teachings of Jesus.
Oh my God! This is our right wing reach out.
No, I'm not doing right wing reach out here, TJ. I'm not. I will fucking be against religion till the day I die, and I'll be adamantly against it far more than politicians should be. But the thing I'm saying here is that while the Democratic base isn't necessarily religious, and certainly not as controlled by their religion, or when they are religious, the other important thing is they are not as unified of a religion. Republicans aren't the only religious people. There's plenty of religious Democrats. It's just like Republicans have a couple churches, and Democrats who are religious have like dozens. And that is why you can't have a consolidated religious message behind it. But the fucking blue MAGA people, they might as well be religious. You can use the same guiding principles of controlling them as if it is a religious belief, just without the religion. Like I said before, and I've said it many times on this show, if Democratic leadership steps up and authentically says whatever, it won't matter what their fucking policy is, because 80 to 90% of Democrats are just going to be like, oh yeah, our guy said it, so that's what I believe now. And we know this because of how many fucking Democrats still supported damn Joe Biden after the fucking debate. And like, we had been harping on how Joe Biden needs to step down for a long time before that. But there was still, I swear to God, like fucking 60% of Democrats, even with that glaring, obvious emperor has no clothes level truth staring them in the face, would still sit there and tell you with a straight face that Joe Biden is our best chance to win this. That is a goddamn religious belief, TJ. You cannot convince me otherwise. It is based purely on faith in a chosen Messiah. And you can use that same psychological concept that causes people to follow Republicans because of religion to Democrats as well. It isn't going to be in a religious fucking package.
Yeah.
But it's going to be the same strategic concept. I don't even know where this fucking started. I was saying that that the comment that Democrats need to package their stuff like religion the way Republicans do, and I was like, well, that wouldn't work because the religion thing isn't the same. But you're right, there could be a distinction without a difference thing that we do with the messianic packaging or something like that. And I do want to, while you were out, Liz. We got a comment from someone named Leilani who said she saw me on a different show, and it freaked me out because my niece's name is Leilani, but she's 1 year old. And update, Leilani is 34, so it is not my niece. Okay, that is good to know. I'm glad to hear that. Because I'd have the smartest. You're a little worried there.
Yeah, like, look, I know you got some powerful brain genes there, Leilani, but I'm kind of surprised. But also this, go ahead, Liz.
She's supporting you while she's young, starting early.
I know. I appreciate it. The family tie is strong. And every now and then I'll write down a joke that I forgot to say, and I just realized I did this. And the time for it is long past that. But I wrote down I wanted to start the show by promoting the hashtag Biden 2028. I wanted to make a whole joke about that, about how we realize the error of our ways. We're going back to Joe Biden. We're having his 85-year-old ass running in 2028. Why not? It's a shit show of a party. So, I don't know. Where were we going with this? I forget. What you got for me, John?
Liz, what do you want to say after you ceded your what did you say?
She yielded her time.
Yielded your time.
I guess my biggest fear, right? We talk a lot about the Democratic Party. It is that how reactionary is it going to be, right? You talked about getting rid of the filibuster. Is the filibuster going to be valuable now that the Republicans have control of all three major branches of government? No,
I don't think so. I don't think so. Here's why. Sorry, but here's why I don't think it is. It's already more damaging to Democrats than it is to Republicans, because the only thing Republicans care about are cutting taxes and appointing justices and judges. You don't need those are filibuster proof, because if you want to cut taxes, that's economic stuff, and you don't need to put that in a filibuster. That can go through with a simple majority. Same thing goes with judges. And if it comes to something that doesn't fit in those two categories, like a national abortion ban, you can bet your ass they will carve out an exception for the filibuster for that. So I just don't think it's going to matter with the Republicans. I don't think it safeguards anything, because do any of you believe that the Republicans want to pass something draconian? They're just going to say, okay, this one, the filibuster doesn't apply. This is going to go into reconciliation. I don't believe that for a second. You think the parliamentarian, they'll let them stand in the way or something? I don't think it actually will.
Yeah. So there's no safeguards, right? So the Republicans virtually are going to move government forward however they want to from here. And so, we can talk about what is the Democratic Party going to do over the next couple of years, but what are the Republicans going to do over the next couple of years? What's the political landscape going to look like?
Yeah, Liz, I was kind of hoping we would just run out the clock and not get to that, because genuinely, I've been avoiding thinking about it too much. I'll get there. I will, and it'll be staring us right in the face eventually. I've been avoiding even what they're saying. I can't stomach it right now. I have to, the only hope, and I said this, the only hope that we have, and I can't fucking believe this, is that corporate interests don't let them wreck things too bad, because that is kind of the only chance that we have, is that their donor strings cause enough Republicans to stop them from doing 20% tariffs, or actually carry out full-on mass deportation, because you know what? Monsanto needs those fucking workers, babe.
Yeah.
And no, you're not going to do that. And also, the other thing I'm relying on is Trump's an incompetent idiot. And those are the two things that I'm just like, you know what? Hopefully it ain't too bad, guys. I don't know. What do you think, TJ?
Yeah, so we are in a real life alien versus predator situation here. That's what we're dealing with the corporations and the Republicans that are going to be running the show. And that our only hope is that one of these evil entities has enough self-preservation to stop the entire thing from falling apart. And that, like, for example, Trump's 20% tariff thing can't happen. I'm sorry, it can't. Like, this is like, that would, there's no benefit for American corporations to have a 20%, because they would be the ones paying the tariffs. Okay. So, like, there's no benefit in them for having something like this. So what was that, Liz?
We're going to pay the tariffs.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. So yeah. And that's not going to be sustainable for their economic performances. So even if something like, let's say Trump gets a lot of the economic stuff he does that does benefit the corporations, it will have disastrous effects in the economy. If he does deport millions of people that are the basis for a lot of different industries, that's going to wreck the economy. So he has a year and a half to do this sort of damage, that it's bad enough that they can get the Republicans out of one of the houses, either the House or the Senate. And if that happens, it can send the tide quite a bit. But that's literally the only thing that we can hope for, that something like that happens. And I am not. Then again, maybe it's God, I hate pulling the old person card, but I just I've been in situations where I've seen people feeling just like they feel now, that it's done. It's over. Hell, you guys remember when Trump was elected the first time? It was very similar to this. People said, it's it. This is the end of America. Wrap it up. It's done. There is time to come back. Like, we don't need to, dress in sackcloth and ashes just yet. It's like, it's okay to be scared and terrified and worry about it, but that doesn't solve any problems. Like looking forward to see what we can do, I think it does a lot more good, because parties do reach these situations and people do reach levels of desperation, but trying to look for an answer, I find far more helpful than throwing up our hands and saying there's nothing we can do. I don't see any benefit in that.
And that's why, so there was a guy in our comments section who's been hammering this question, and he's been hammering my content. He's a huge hater of mine. He got banned. Did you do
I
that?
got him. It was annoying. It was like 85 comments. I was like, what is going on
here?
Yeah,
he's a crazy person who has.
I can't see them today. Last time I was on, I was able to see all the comments.
They're over on the right.
Are there two tabs? One of them says, because I was on tennis. I've never been the guest on StreamYard before. And so I saw there was two tabs. Oh, there's a comments tab, because I didn't know if the guests could see them either. But he's gone now, Liz. So yeah.
There's so many I didn't see.
He had like
this has been a very good comment show. And by the way, everyone commenting, I want to say thank you. Even the ones who are saying mean stuff. We do a Q&A show on Tuesdays where we directly address all the comments. So
John, we tried to do a Q&A.
We tried. So that is the time. If you, like, a lot of things have been said that I want to get to, and we're just not going to have time. This is our time we do our pre-recorded show. So thank you very much. Be here on Tuesdays.
Real quick, I wanted to say that I was thinking it's funny that Liz couldn't see the comments, and it would be really funny if like half the comments were like, I love Liz, her content's amazing. It's so great. This whole time she had no idea.
Wait, he's back. John's back. He got another account, TJ. Wait, before you ban him, because I want to address what he was saying. So he was saying, if you really believe Trump is a fascist, shouldn't you guys be doing a January 6th times 1,000? And here's the thing. I feel like a lot of people have this problem where they hear fascist and they go, they're going to do exactly what the Nazis did.
I know.
And the problem with this analysis is that fascism is a political ideology. It is not a set of policies. And so when I say this, Mike, yeah, if I thought that Donald Trump was for sure going to be able to bring down democracy and end it in America, yeah, I think it would be reason to do a January 6th and times 1,000, one that was actually successful. I don't think that will happen. I think that our institutions will hold. I do not think we need to do a violent overthrow of the government and start a civil war in order to prevent these things from happening, because I have faith in our institutions.
Yeah.
That's why that doesn't happen on our side.
Yeah.
And that also doesn't mean he isn't a fascist. Just because you aren't able to do all of the fascist shit you want to do doesn't mean you're not a fascist. If I couldn't get laid, that wouldn't make me gay because I'm not having sex with women. I would still be straight, even though I'm not accomplishing the goal of being straight. Like, just because you aren't enacting the fascist policy doesn't mean you aren't philosophically a fascist. And that's my stump on that. I saw some good faces there.
Hashtag John Fucks. I want to put that up there. Apparently, yeah. This is the unfortunate reality of living in an incredibly stupid population. I hate to say it, but it's just the truth. Is that they'll say, well, Trump's a fascist. Listen, so Trump's a fascist. So why aren't you overthrowing the government? There's a lot of reasons for that. Okay, first, you can make very strong, effective, true arguments. Every American president is a fascist. Okay, let's get that clear right away. We live in a fascist police state. However, that doesn't mean there's any value in overthrowing the government, because if you overthrow the government, there will be a power vacuum like you couldn't believe.
The biggest of all time.
It would be like a meteor hitting the earth. If we rose up and we just took over Washington, D.C., we just we raised it to the ground, and we just all right, the American government's destroyed. We stopped the fascist dictatorship. Millions, possibly billions, honestly, not exaggerating, people would die. just like not only like the infrastructure we have for transporting food, fresh water, medicine, all around the world collapses. The military is free to do literally whatever it wants. The economic structures that hold the globe in place collapse immediately. Like, you guys are thinking like children, which is I'm kind of used to from the right, but like just overthrowing the government is a terrible idea. It shows up. It'll be the worst thing you could do in the 21st century. So no, it's a little short-sighted to say, oh, why aren't you just overthrowing the government? Yeah, that's like, this is why the people in January, which is, by the way, the January 6th thing, I said this too, like in reverse to what that guy was saying, was that Republicans say that, January 6th was a psyop, January 6th was peaceful, January 6th was justified. They never settled on exactly what January 6th was. I'd like to see what their actual thought was.
But while they have never settled on what January 6th was, every protest in 2020, specifically Black Lives Matter protests, those were all violent riots to these same people.
Exactly, yeah.
So I do think that there's also a, how differently would a different demographic of people be treated if they did virtually the exact same demonstration?
Oh, yeah. If January 6th was black people, was like the cops would be in Iron Man suits to take them down. That's what would happen in January 6th, and we all fucking know it. Yeah, so I agree.
They would have invented a new weapon on the spot.
They would have. It would be exactly, yeah. If there was anything close to that.
And then, I think another thing that people need to realize is that critiquing fascism, John, you touched on it. Fascism, it's not a specific set of policies or actions. It's an ideal, right? So it's the same people who would be like, I want you to storm the Capitol so that the police can come and arrest you, right? Like the cheering on of the police state, right? It is all of these things that Trump has said that he wants to do, him not actively doing them this second or potentially not being able to do them doesn't make him any less of a fascist. And warning about the very real concerns of fascism is important. Like, that's just other John.
Oh, I put him in timeout. He's gone. Yeah, it was very funny to me to just dress him down and boot him. It's once again, John. If you hear welcome to the intolerant left, man. This is we're glad to meet you.
It is funny because I am like philosophically opposed to like blocking people. I only do it if they like affect my mental fucking health, like where it's like you are just too much personally attacking. Like I'm an incredibly tolerant person. Generally, because I want my content to be seen by as many people as possible. But if you're like fucking, siphoning away my thoughts, I don't want to deal with it anymore.
But my standard's a lot lower. Mine is, are you annoying me? That's literally it. That's all it is. Like, this is not a dictatorship. This is this is a dictatorship. This isn't a democracy. You guys don't like democracy anyway. So yeah, get the fuck out of here.
I always tell if you want, like, I will have you on the left wing and I will debate you. Grow a fucking audience to make it worth my while.
Yep. That's right. Yeah,
you sit here with fucking 40,000 followers. I'll bring you on the show.
That's so
Until
true.
then, you are irrelevant. You are just a peon.
You guys ever get comments? Like, my favorite comment to get whenever I make a video is someone will say, like, say I make a video about, I don't know, like Black Lives Matter or something like that, and someone comments on there, yeah, now do one on black crime. My favorite response shit like that is, do the video yourself. Do it. Let's see. Like, what? Don't be fucking lazy. Ask me to do your work for you, and then I'll say, do the video yourself. If you get 12 views, which is my prediction of how many views you'll get, 9 of them will be me. I'll definitely watch it. I'd love to see what you have to say, and they never do. They never do. So I don't have any. There's a lot of value in attacking people's masculinity. Oh my God, fucking Charlie Kirk, man.
I would invite Charlie Kirk on the show. First of all, it'd be good for our show.
It'd be great for the show. It'd be great for the show.
But TJ doesn't like to debate.
No.
I will debate the fuck out of anyone who's worth my while to debate, and will do it respectfully. That's the big thing to me is I don't do shouting matches. I don't do.
John, I gotta ask you.
Yeah.
So no Charlie Kirk then.
No, yeah, right. Charlie Kirk would be great for the show, though.
Charlie Kirk is a terrible person in general. His debate style isn't that. He's not a fucking Alex Jones. You know what I mean?
But when I can't remember the last time I debated a conservative who did it in good faith. I really can't. It's just it's so rare to run. Charlie Kirk is not like Kirk is a professional.
I'm fine with
debater.
bad faith. I'll take bad faith.
That's what I can't stand.
What I can't stand is like I'm just gonna be fucking like flamboyant and over the top and just be yelling at you and trying to get into a fight. I need at least the pretext that we are having a conversation where we have maybe the tiniest bit of an open mind. I need the pretext. I don't want just a fight. I know it's bullshit. But like,
yeah.
I can take bad faith arguments. I enjoy breaking them down. I enjoy fighting bad faith arguments. It's like fucking swinging the bat with a weighted thing on just so you can sharpen your own argument in defense of bad faith arguments. I'm weird though.
It's because I used to debate all the time. I used to do it all the time, and I'm very good at it. But it's just like it's exhausting. It's just especially when I will have religious debates before political ones because I know the religious people are sincere. Because a lot of them are, and I know them, and I can actually get somewhere. When it's like right-wing politics, I don't believe 85% of them are honest about anything. I really don't. And also like you got to have a concrete set of values. Like back when I was a Christian, I never debated atheists. It didn't make any sense to me because if we can't agree on reality, there's no point in the debate. Like I believe God exists, this person doesn't. We're coming from two wildly different approaches. So if I'm talking to a conservative and it's like, well, human rights are a good thing, we should protect them at all costs. No, actually, I believe in essentially the divine right of kings. I mean, like, I'm not going to talk you out of something like that, no matter what it is. So I just, I will do it if there's really something in there for me. Like Charlie Kirk, yeah, there'd be a hell of a lot in it for the show if we had Charlie Kirk on. But, and I said, like, I'll debate a conservative. Like, if I'm running for office, hell yeah, I'll debate a conservative. Like, that sounds like a great fucking idea. I couldn't wait for that. But a random debate with just someone on the internet, no, not interested. Nah, just not.
See, I said this. Go ahead, Liz.
Sorry. I think that online debating like that is one of the reasons why we're shifting right wing, just as a society. One of the things that was very interesting to observe throughout this election cycle is the amount of people on the left espousing right wing talking points. And one of the big reasons that I attribute that to are these online debates, right? You've got these people with millions of followers who are platforming people who will say the most ridiculous, outlandish, often untrue things. And the stance is now, I'm going to disprove you and never, that's bullshit. And why are we even discussing bullshit rhetorics like this? This is how you get to a point where there are significant portions of people who think that like these murders are happening, right? Like the post-abortion, post-birth abortion. Oh my God, I can't even say it. And it like not to say that it is solely the fault of these online debates, but I think that we give a lot more credence to nonsense than we should. And a large part of that is, albeit well-meaning, I think white men on the internet who are just consistently platforming the most heinous and egregious rhetoric, and people are picking it up. Some people are picking it up.
Liz, I'm not saying this because I disagree with you. I'm just struggling to think of an example. What are the, like, can you think of a specific like right-wing talking point that you're seeing leftists parrot? Like, is there something on your, like a specific example on your mind? Because
both sides are the same. Two sides of the same coin. That was a big one that I heard parroted around a lot.
Interesting.
The Palestine thing.
Like I feel like that went the other direction.
Genocide Kamala.
Yeah,
was another one.
That was a big one where they'd say like, Holocaust terrorists is just I saw right wing. Yeah. I saw a lot of right wingers and left wingers saying the same thing about that. That was a pretty big one. And what you mentioned, Liz, it's funny. It's a religious one, but I had the same. I don't know if you guys remember this. Well, yeah, you guys may both know, but remember when Bill Nye debated Ken Ham, like for the Answers in Genesis thing? That was a million years ago. But I remember seeing that as like, no, this is a bad idea because you're. Oh, so what, Liz?
I watched it live.
Yeah. I remember what happened. And it's like, because it's making it seem like this is a respectful idea that we need to pay deference to. And so I'll see like, Destiny debating Nick Fuentes, like an open Nazi.
Yeah.
What fucking value does that have? Like Nick Fuentes is going to get up there and say, oh yeah, like sleeping with a black woman is like sleeping with a monkey. And Destiny's going to be like, well, that's ridiculous. Human beings have 23 pairs of chromosomes and monkeys have 21. No, what are we doing here? Like, what is fucking
Destiny's millions of followers heard Nick Fuentes say that, right?
Yes.
And
yeah.
like,
That's what exactly. I don't see the value because the right wing is unfettered by reality, and they ever since honestly the Rush Limbaugh days, there has been a significant monetary incentive to be as sociopathic, as racist, as brutal, as cruel, as misogynistic, as humanly possible, and it's worked. It has
worked. I wanted
to
touch on this earlier. You talked about the oh my god. This is a Joe Rogan episode. We talked about the downfall of Joe Rogan and how he shifted very right wing, 2020 on, but how much money is in that is not something that I see people talking about very often, right? It's how you get these streamers like Sneeko who have little boys coming up to them going "fuck women," I saw that. Right? And Sneeko is shocked.
He's surprised, right?
And it's like, you don't believe the rhetoric, but you are grooming generations of children to believe this, espouse this, and be violent because of it. It's how you have boys in school who are saying the shit that Nick Fuentes said just a day after the election, which is your body, my choice, right?
Yep.
Like, they're saying that in schools. Children are saying that, you know? And so it's like, why are we platforming these people? And I don't want to devalue the importance of having these conversations, but I think that doing them online, I don't know. I don't think we've been going about it the right way, I guess, is the takeaway. Not that they should stop, but something's got to give.
I'm just not doing them. That's all. I'm just not doing them. That's how I put it. And the Sneeko thing is like, I love it. I love a good leopards ate my face moments. I love this shit. And I saw one with Sneeko. It was after Donald, because Sneeko is Haitian, and it was after Donald Trump said they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Sneeko's like, well, you know, look, my dad's Haitian. I spent time in Haiti. Haiti is a Christian island. They're not full of, you know, evil witches and shit. I say, Sneeko, what is wrong with you? Like, what is going on? You think you spend your entire career bashing minorities until it's you. It's like, oh, this is a problem, folks. I don't know. It's just obnoxious. I don't get it.
First of all, I just have to address this comment. Alex Tabona says, I hope one day power is taken, not given, is worth $200 million. What the fuck, Alex? You not care about me too?
I don't know what that means, though. I don't know what that means. Like, what is I'm not sure that's in reference to.
So when on the panel?
I agree with you guys in that platforming someone to debate them is a bad idea. I do, however, find value. And when I debate people, it is either people who, like, publicly, when I platform, put them on my platform, it is people who, at the very least, I respect that they are not arguing in bad faith. But I do like to privately, or at the very least, so far down in the comments that no one's fucking reading this, go into those bad faith discussions, because I find that A, I farm content out of it like crazy, and B, it gives me a better understanding of the mindset of someone who gets engrossed by the bad faith arguments. And that gives me an ability to speak to them in ways that can pierce the fucking veil. Because a lot of people who are repeating, a lot of people making the bad faith, like the fucking Nick Fuenteses of the world, he's generating the shit. And you can't platform him. But there are thousands, millions of the fucking kids that you're talking about who are getting captivated by this. And we do need to figure out how to break through to them. And that's why that's one of mainly the reason that I do it, is to try and figure out what is the mindset of this person that is making this argument. I don't do it with Nick Fuentes himself, but I will do it with random Joe in my DMs to just try and fucking hammer down.
Yeah.
To put a bow on this and wrap it back, you know, kind of what we're talking about, what needs to change about the Democratic Party and everything. I think that one of the ways in which this is to be combated is, instead of the big donors, the big money donors who actually give a shit, you know, about this, they need to stop giving their money to Democrats to blow on fucking campaigns and start giving it. And I know this is self-serving to us. And by us, you know, please give it to me. I would love it, but it doesn't have to be me. But build a fucking, like, help us build a fucking Daily Wire. You know, help us do that. Because Kamala outraised the shit out of Trump. It didn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. The ground game, Trump didn't do a ground game.
No,
it doesn't matter. Take those millions and millions of dollars, find fucking pockets of content creators that you think have a good fucking message, give it to them. Let them promote their fucking shit, be their fucking patron. That is honestly, and again, I understand I'm the most biased motherfucker here.
So funny, John. It's so funny.
It's true. It's true. It's what they did on the right. It's what they did. And they won. It is a winning fucking system here. They put the blueprint out. This is a copycat league. Fucking do the same thing. It will work because the advantage that we have is we don't have to fucking lie. We don't have to make shit up. Reality is on our side. And if we can just message it properly and get it in front of the right people and say it in the right way, we will win that if all else is equal because we're grounded in reality. And I hate the people who are like, oh, well, they just lie. You can't beat it. No, you fucking can. You can beat it. You're just being lazy.
No, I'm sorry, John. I couldn't help it, but it's so.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's funny. It's funny.
I got it. I wanted to point something out real quick. I saw an amazing comment over here. It says, it's from Heather. It says, the right wing is unfettered by reality is my new favorite quote of the day. Good job, TJ. Thank you. I don't know. That's just a random comment I picked that had nothing to do with anything. Just 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 a random guess.
Just randomly picked this comment as a compliment to me personally.
Just randomly.
Totally randomly.
All right. Any final words for us, Liz, over this gestures wildly?
I guess anything. I know a lot of people are feeling real disheartened by the results of this election. But I would say if you're not already getting involved with something locally, not only are you going to see that progress is happening, it still happens, right? People still move forward, but it's gonna. I don't know. I think it's gonna ground you. And I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of people online very panicked, very concerned, and understandably and justifiably so. And I think I said it earlier in the episode, but I hope that fear turns into motivation for a lot of people, and that we, this is what you said earlier, TJ. This is going to be hopefully a major breaking point for the Republican Party, and we come back stronger. That's my hope. We'll see, but people are going to need people right now.
Amen. Amen. You want to close this out, John?
Thank you. You have made it to the end of this episode. We thank you very, very much. And if you donated any money to those loser fucking Democrats, well, you know a better place to put it. Give it to people like us. We're totally unbiased in saying that is the way we are going to win in 2028. Anyway, we always have wonderful guests on this show. Liz has been a repeat guest. She has told you guys where to find her before, but if you haven't watched those episodes, Liz, where can people find you?
You can find me on all the platforms at All About Liz. That's ALLBOUTLIZ. Not All About Liz. That's my favorite tag from the gaming days.
Love it so much. Thank you, folks. We really appreciate Liz. Really appreciate all you guys watching. And like John said, I mean, Mark Cuban, George Soros, DCCC, anybody. So send the cash our way. We will make better use of it than anyone else you did in the past. And we'll see what we can do. Catch you guys later.